Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 179. We're the podcast that talks about pop culture things that interest us. And sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John, and I'm joined as always by Andrea. How's it going?
Good. Happy 2025. We're almost done with the first month. I'm scared.
Yeah, cruising along.
We are.
Cruising
We
along.
are.
Making Valentine's Day plans and stuff.
Yes. My eldest child asked me recently if Christmas was coming soon. I said, "Oh, sorry, baby. It's kind of far away." And
Ah,
then she goes, "But is Valentine's Day still coming soon?" I said, "Yes, that's a lot closer." And then magic, all solved.
Can
So
we not have Christmas once a month?
just devastated. She's actually very devastated that Christmas lights are seriously coming down. I felt like
Hmm.
there was a wave early on where people took them down, and now there's kind of like a few stragglers wrapping up. And
Yeah.
that seems to me the most disappointing part right now, that Christmas is
Okay.
truly over when the lights come down.
Yeah. Yep. I understand. I understand. I
Yeah.
feel like pain.
Yeah, I enjoy the lights too. And I enjoy that people are expanding lights to other holidays. I saw a bunch of Halloween themed lights this year, and I am on board. Keep doing that, people. That's a lot of fun.
Nice. Yes. Well, speaking of Halloween, our main topic tonight is going to be of the horror kind of genre here. So stay tuned. It'll be Nosferatu, the 2024 version here by Robert Eggers. Yeah, we'll be spoilery about that.
Mhm.
That's coming up. But before that, we have our weeks that we'll talk about. A little bit of news. The Oscars are coming before too long.
Mhm.
So we'll at least peruse that and see if there's things we want to see, things that we think should be on that list, whatever, that sort of thing. Yeah. So fun show, awesome show ahead. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all those sorts of things. We're live right now on X, Twitch, and YouTube. So any of those places you want to be there and participate. So yeah. All right. Without further ado, drink. That's how we should kick it off, huh? Drink holidays, like huge.
Absolutely. Yes. Most of these, except for one, are very suited for the cold month of January. They are either, very hearty drinks and or warm drinks. So kicking it off, January 11th was Hottie Day, followed closely on January 17th by Hot Buttered Rum Day. I'm going to skip over the other part of 117 for just a second to move on to Baltic Porter Day on January 18th, and then Irish Coffee Day on the 25th. So
Okay.
yeah, like I said, all hot or hearty. I feel like porters are like a heartier
Yeah.
beer. Um, and then we have our wild card, January 17th, in addition to Hot Buttered Rum Day, was Bootleggers Day. So that's kind of what you want it to
Catch
be.
all.
Yeah, I think the like two most like I don't know, how do you say that? Like bootlegged drinks,
Yeah. Or, discreetly distilled.
discreetly
Um,
distilled. Okay, I like that. The two most popular were rum and then gin, specifically bathtub gin, but
okay.
you know, we'll
Yeah.
we'll accept that most people probably aren't brewing up gin in their bathtubs anymore.
I knew you were where you were going, and I thought I knew about gin. I was wondering what the other one was going to be.
Yeah,
Rum. Hmm. Okay.
rum. According to the internet sources, that's what it was.
Hmm.
So,
Source internet.
yes, source C internet. The third, I believe, is moonshine, which is also not terribly surprising. Things
Sure.
that are,
Yeah.
easier to make on your own.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. Well, are you celebrating any of these wintry holidays?
I'm not celebrating a wintry holiday. I'm doing our famous catch-all. I felt like something nice and refreshing tonight, so I just went with a classic G&T.
Okay. All right. Nice. I I am celebrating one of the days. So
Ooh, look at
I'm
you.
stirring. I know you can't see through the vessel, but I'm doing a hot buttered rum.
Nice.
So
Rum 2 days in a row and fancy drinking vessels 2 days in a row. You've, uh,
that's true.
you've got a groove here. Yeah, for
Oh,
those of
that's
you,
good.
who don't know, we did our anime podcast last night, and John was rocking a fresh coconut, with coconut milk and rum or coconut water and rum inside.
Yeah, yeah,
So, yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
rum 2 ways
this is
in 2
rich.
nights. Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday was like a white rum, clear rum, whatever. This is a spiced rum, and then yeah, my vessel here is uh is a handmade locally pottery piece. So yeah,
It's beautiful.
yeah.
I like that, you have 2 different kinds of rum. Like, you have options in rum. I am lucky if I have rum in my household of any kind maybe once a year. It's
Well, I
just
have
generally not my thing.
back here somewhere in this corner a the James Bond Blackwell rum. So I
Right,
typically
right,
have some of that around. I was running
mhm,
low, and then I
right.
got a bottle for Christmas, so
Okay,
perfect. And then
perfect
the
time to
white rum,
restock.
yeah, I actually used up last night. That was it. So
Okay,
that's gone now. So my
okay,
my rum choices are now more limited.
sure.
Fortunately,
They have
I had
diminished.
the right, the kind of rum I want for this. I
Yes.
saw a recipe. I mean, I never made this before. Saw a recipe. I kind of just took inspiration from that. Then they put pureed pumpkin in it, so
Mm,
I did that here as well. It's cinnamon butter, good good French butter. Um,
mhm.
it's pureed pumpkin, apple cider, um, and then rum. Yeah.
This feels like a good I mean, again, in the spirit of tonight and what we've been discussing, it feels like a good Halloween, fall, autumn drink.
Yeah. I mean, and with these proportions, like I say, it's rich. I just threw stuff in the pot, and buttery, pumpkiny. Like the pumpkin is probably more pumpkin than I'm supposed to have in there. Like, so if I don't stir it, it's gonna settle.
Sure. Gonna get a
So
little
this is gonna
surprise at the end.
this is gonna fill me up, but it's very good. It's
Sure.
delicious. So yeah. Salud.
Cheers.
Okay. Drinks out of the way. What's your week been like? I guess kind of 2 weeks really.
Yeah, yeah. My weeks have actually been full of movies, for the most part. I did as far as television shows go, I was kind of in a, um, specific mindset. I watched the 2nd season of XO Kitty, which is, a Korean set, rom-com high school show, about a girl who flies off to Korea on a scholarship to learn more about her mother who has passed away, um, and get like find out what happened to her family over there, and then also to meet a boy. So there's love triangles, teenage romantic drama, um,
Okay.
and it's within the To All the Boys I've Loved universe, which was a popular trio of movies as well.
Hmm.
So I blew through season 2. It's very easy, they're short, like 20-minute episodes.
Okay,
And
that's nice.
it was actually decently strong. I think there were some weird lighting things at the beginning of the season that they finally fixed. Like season 1 was like bright and like colorful K-poppy, and then for like the first 3 episodes they had this weird yellow lighting that was happening, and then I don't know who thought that that was the way to go, but then suddenly I've honestly I mentioned it because I've never noticed the lighting in a show more. I know that's
Okay.
generally your type of thing, but I was just sitting there like, "I am John. I cannot get over this lighting." Um, so yeah, so it was pretty good though. Is cute. It's bingeable, easy stream. Not quite white noise TV, but borderline, a little bit in that direction.
Okay.
But cute. And then somebody who is in that universe, Noah Centineo is the star of The Recruit, another show on Netflix that is getting its season 2 drop in 2 days. And it looked like fun and actiony, so I was like, "Oh, I'll check it out for an episode." And it's a solid opener. I don't know, I've been away from it for a couple of days, so I feel like if I wait too much longer, I'm not gonna start season or episode 2 because
What
it was
is
just
that?
good.
What is
Um,
that on?
but the premise of it is that, Noah Centineo's character is a newly graduated lawyer who just started working for the CIA, and he gets shunted into sorting through their gray mail, which is, blackmail light, but also like separating, like, hey, is anybody serious and might
Right.
act on these? Are there any like former agents or informants that might have something that we need to go take care of? And he does find something that seems to be legit. So he kind of stumbles into, things that are way over his head. He's very impulsive. So he like flies across the world to Yemen and like
Okay.
disrupts an active operation. And they're like, what the hell, dude? Um, so yeah, so it's a very rookie fish out of water, have to learn fast, lots of action. Um, but yeah, it was a solid entry. So we'll see if I start episode 2 in the next couple days.
What service is that on?
Netflix.
Okay.
Mhm.
Sounds familiar, but all right. Cool.
Yeah, I feel like there's kind of a rash of, very actiony shows that revolve around one federal agency or, kind of
Hmm.
ex-federal worker or another, like The Bodyguard, um, what you're watching, The Terminal List, I'd watched that at one point, obviously The Recruit. I feel like there's just sort of this loner type,
Sure.
somewhat quasi government or direct government worker happening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, i- it's it's cool that there is sort of a, I don't know, it's in TV form, but a wave of kind of that action sort of thing back.
Mhm.
That I think that's been, I don't know, deemed not as marketable as superhero movies or something like that, and so then it's been put on streaming services. It's like the Reacher show, that's a couple
Mhm. I was just thinking of
seasons,
that
and
too.
then
Jack
there was
Ryan,
the yep, and there's the one with the Game of Thrones guy.
The
Um,
Bodyguard.
no, this is a different one though. This
Mm.
is the same actor, Rob Stark,
Yeah.
but a different one. It's him and some other woman.
Oh,
Um,
yes. Yes.
it's newer.
Yep. Mhm. I know what you're talking about. Alan, save us.
Well, either way, yeah, either way, yeah. There's been over the last 5 years, I would say, kind of
Yeah.
a resurgence of yeah, that sort of thing.
Yep.
But
So
you've
this
seen the
is
Terminal List,
I saw episode 1 and 2, I think, and then I don't
okay?
remember. I feel like I didn't go into Amazon Prime for video for a while, like, there hasn't been anything
Right.
compelling there, so I just, like, dropped, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, there was nothing actually wrong with it. It was good, but I kinda forgot. Richard
And
Madden! Hey, you.
Citadel, that's what it was.
Citadel, yes. Yes. Thank you. Yep.
Okay, yeah,
So yeah, so I started that TBD on whether I will continue. Something that I have started and will continue is Goldfinger. I am about halfway through the next Ian Fleming book, having finished Doctor No. Goldfinger is very the movie. You know what I mean? Like
okay.
as I'm reading it, I can very much see it playing out in my mind. And I think the only maybe sort of different vibe is trying to figure out Goldfinger. I think the casting director for the movie did very well,
Hmm.
but he is a very
Right.
odd description. He is a
As
very
often
odd
the
sum
villains
of
are
parts.
in,
Yes.
yeah.
They're
Hmm.
so specific and they're always very specifically odd in some fashion, in some
Yeah.
physical way, that makes it very difficult. It makes it very exciting when you're reading the book to picture, this person. And then as a
Yeah.
casting director, I'm sure you read that and just go, again, really? Who am I going to find for this?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm enjoying that. And then, yeah, like I said, a slew of movies. I went out, used my brand new Alamo season pass to watch Nosferatu. And then here at home, I've watched several other Oscar contenders. I've watched Maria, starring Angelina Jolie as the 50s and 60s opera singer Maria Callas. A Real Pain, the kind of duo, not, I mean, dramedy, I guess I would say, with Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin, and then Amelia Perez, also on Netflix, starring Selena Gomez and Carla Sofia Gascon and Zoe Saldana. So
Okay.
busy, busy.
Okay.
I've been getting into fitness again, and Chris like hooked it up downstairs so that we have streaming services plus my phone hooks up to the TV. So been watching a lot of stuff while I go biking or walking or running.
Wait, getting in. Oh, okay. So you're like stationary bike or something like that, and then you got
Yes.
just casting to your TV.
Treadmill, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Nice. Well, good job for getting
Yeah.
back into fitness.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I would ask you now, but maybe we want to just as we get to the Oscar stuff, just kind of get your thoughts on those three movies.
Absolutely,
Or,
yeah.
yeah, um, yeah, we'll get into that a little bit after a minute. That's quite a few things. I just watched The King's Man again. So I
Mhm.
saw it in the theater. It's one that we snuck away for when it came out. I think in 2020 or whatever, and or 2021, one of those years, and it did not do well. Theaters were, I don't know, half open or whatever the situation was when it came out. And it's in the Kingsman universe, but it's a prequel,
Mhm.
and I liked it a lot. It's pretty long, but it's a kind of intertwined with history a bit more with World War One, and yeah, it's got a good cast. The They put former Bond girl in there, blanking on her name right now, but she's a Bond girl in Quantum of Solace, and she is not around that long in there, unfortunately. Gemma,
Gemma
Gemma,
Archerton?
yeah, it's her.
Okay.
She's in there, and it's just good. It's a oh, and another big fun surprise role is Otto Hightower. He is
Oh, Rice Iphans.
yeah, yeah. He plays oh shoot. I wasn't expecting you to talk about it. Historic Russian figure, very crazy Rasputin. Thank you, Alan. He plays Rasputin and is
Oh
quite an
god.
interesting performance.
Now
So
that song is
um,
gonna be stuck in my head. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. Yes. But yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. It has both some zaniness, but a lot of heart too. It kind of opens up right away, and bam, there's some emotionality to it. So, and it's kind of fun how it you know jumps through history, kind
Mhm.
of um, in a fun way. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
recommended. And then the big thing I've really been on this week that I didn't intend was the terminal list. So the biggest James Bond podcast, YouTube channel, whatever in the world is David Zaritsky's The Bond Experience, and I
Mhm.
pay attention to that or whatever. And I saw all of a sudden that he was on Jack Carr's podcast, who's the author of the Terminal List books.
Mm.
And so I started listening to that, and I don't know, for whatever reason, when the Terminal List came out, often I'm not drawn into another thing that doesn't have like a sci-fi or fantasy elements. That's common for me or whatever. So I guess I didn't. jump on it. And but I got interested. He talked a lot about his different passion for Bond and all the different spy and espionage thrillers that he's been
Mhm.
inspired by over his many years. How he was a voracious reader as a kid, and like he just always knew he was going to write at some point in his life. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to give this show a chance here. And I've now in a couple of days managed the first 5 episodes, and
Yeah, you're cruising.
it was kind of tough to go on at first because it is freaking sad at the beginning.
Mhm.
It's pretty devastating. So I was like, I don't know that I want to be in this headspace right now, but
Mhm.
kind of push through that, and it's very, it's very well done. I'm shocked that it didn't. I don't know if I'm shocked, but it's disappointing that it didn't get any award nominations for major award nominations for anything.
Mm.
Um, because it's it's very well done, and Chris Pratt does an excellent job. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's only 8 episodes, and yeah, so I got a few left. But
Nice.
yeah, I didn't know
Yeah.
you had started it all before. It's like, well, if you're not interested in Recruit, if that doesn't hold you, then jump on over the Terminal List. It says, I
Yeah.
guess we're gonna film season 2 this spring. So season 2
Okay.
is coming.
Yeah, I might give Recruit another shot, and if I don't end up liking it, I could switch over to the Terminal List and finish that up. Or, if I do and I want something to follow when I'm finished with the Recruit, could turn to
Yeah,
the Terminal List.
yeah. I my plan is to finish this show, finish the Goldfinger book, and then I think I might
Mm,
read the
yeah.
first Terminal List book. I might
Oh,
see because
sure.
there's 7 of those right now.
Oof.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I might see how those read. And then I'm planning to look at the. Have you seen on Netflix? It's called Primeval, or something like that. Um,
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, it
American
sounds
Primeval. That's what it's called.
okay.
American
Okay. I was
Primeval.
gonna say it sounds vaguely familiar, but Primeval wasn't by itself
Yeah, it's a
wasn't ringing the
new
bell.
limited series,
Yeah.
and I don't know too much about it, but it's supposedly it's pretty good. So I give that a shot too.
Sure.
But anyways, that's been my week. We should talk about let's talk about continue talking about movies, and let's go into the
Yeah.
Oscar nominations. There's a lot to pick over there a little bit, and then I want to
Mhm.
bring up some of Quentin Tarantino's comments about movies being
Mhm.
we're on it. So what inspired you to pick these movies to watch? I mean, so you got for Best Picture, you watched Amelia Perez,
Mhm.
and then your other ones are from other categories, it looks like here.
So let's see. So for best picture, yeah. Well, I have two. I have Amelia Perez and Wicked. Because I saw that in theaters
Right.
back in
Yep.
December. Um, and then I mean, part of it was, I'm not gonna lie, availability.
Okay. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, because Maria and Amelia Perez were both streaming on Netflix, and Real Pain um I got on Hulu through my Disney Plus subscription. So I was
Okay.
like, well, like that, that's pretty easy to do. And I was kind of feeling, I don't know, inspired after my trip to the movies at the Alamo. I had a really good time. I went by myself
Sure.
during the day, and I had a day off and the kids were elsewhere. So I was just like, yeah, I'm going to go and just enjoy myself, and I really did. So I was just like, yeah, it's Oscar season. I feel it. Let's keep it rolling.
Uh huh.
And yeah, I was looking for like other things and kind of scrolling through other movies that I want to see. I'm particularly interested in three that also
Okay.
have multiple, I think, Oscar nominations. I'm interested in definitely The Substance. I had a lot of people recommend that to me when it came out, and I think it's getting like some limited re-releases in theaters and
Okay.
other availability. So I was like, yeah, and especially after apparently Demi Moore gave this outstanding speech, which I have since watched from the Golden Globes as she won her Best Actress um, statue there. I've been really interested. I also love the someone who was a lot of people feel was maybe snubbed for a Best Supporting Actress, Margaret Qualley.
Oh, sure.
I've really like admired her work for a long time, and I watched again recently one of the things on Netflix that I think she's fantastic in called Maid,
Okay.
and it's about a woman who escapes an emotionally and physically abusive relationship with her daughter and like starts over by finding work as a maid. Um,
Okay.
highly recommend it. Very quality. Again, available to stream on Netflix. So yeah, so the substance I'm interested in. I'm interested in Sing Sing. I think for fairly obvious reasons. It's a group of prisoners who decide to come together and put on a show and like split the profits. The like the profits that they're going to get out of it, and it's like this whole community thing. So yeah, so I'm interested in watching that as well. I think that has a couple of nominations for Best Picture, maybe screenplay. Yep, adapted screenplay and a couple of others. And then I was also interested in where did you go? The Substance, Sing Sing. Oh, and Honora. It
Okay.
sounds like an interesting premise. It's like a Cinderella story of a working class girl who decides to impulsively marry this high profile man of mystery that she doesn't really know all that well, and just kind of follows some of that action.
Okay.
But I don't know too much else about it. It just kind of sounded like, huh, that might be interesting.
Okay. Yeah. I have to say, like off the bat here, I guess I forget. I'm shocked there are 10 nominations for Best Picture. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
Can we not narrow it down like half that? I mean, that's a
They
lot.
used to. They used to have
Okay.
only 5. I
Yeah.
don't remember when they bumped it up to 10 or
That's too
up to
much.
10.
These
It
other
does
categories have
feel like a
5
lot.
for, yeah.
Yeah, it does feel like a lot. I don't know, I'd even be willing to settle for, like, 6 or 7, like, if you
Yeah.
just couldn't contain it to 5. Consistently, if you couldn't contain it to 5 every year, like
Yeah, you have to be consistent. I don't think you get to go up and down like, oh, like
mhm,
that's just defying the point. That's
right.
silly. Um, okay, I'm interested in so Substance anytime I want to watch that. It's been on my list to watch forever.
Yeah,
I own the movie. I will watch it anytime we want to talk about
absolutely,
it.
okay.
Conclave, interested in that one. Um,
Don't know anything about that,
I
except I think
believe
it's religious
yes,
based?
correct. That's
Yeah?
about all I know
Okay.
too, and I've heard
Okay.
some good word of mouth, and so I'm kind of in. I think Ray Fiennes is in it. I think he was nominated. Yeah,
Yes,
so I'm good for watching that. Um, and then obviously I've seen Dune, and then A
yep,
Complete Unknown. Um, I listened to Timothy Chalamet on a podcast. Seems like a really
sure.
down to earth guy. He kind of talked about it. He's pretty passionate about the movie and kind of sold me on would like to give the film a shot. So if it was kind
I,
of like when I could go to the movies, it was either going to be Nosferatu or that. And well, I was going to choose Nosferatu, but yeah,
sure. Um, yeah, I would be a little bit more willing, I think, in recent days to see A Complete Unknown. I wasn't terribly interested in it initially, and Bob Dylan came out and was like, "Oh man, I really thought, they did me justice. I thought Timothy Chalamet was great." And, so I don't know, there's just something about the subject of the movie being like, "Yeah, good
yeah,
job."
right,
I'm satisfied because that can be obviously a really personal thing, and if they don't
yeah,
feel well portrayed, that's
yep,
difficult. So, yeah,
yep.
I would go out to the movies again and maybe use my pass to see that.
And I really, really don't care about Wicked, but I would see it like if it. actually would want to watch a movie or something like that if
So
it was
good.
just available
It's so good. It
somewhere.
is available. It's like streaming everywhere.
Okay.
So yeah, it's so good. It's so much fun. Like the world is amazing. The things they've done production wise to build sets, ugh, it's fantastic. Um, yeah,
Okay.
I'm super pumped about Wicked. I loved it, so you know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
The thing I do want to plug for though, actually the most,
mhm.
is A Real Pain. It's a really great film. Not to be too on
A
the
real
nose with the title there. A Real
Okay.
Pain, yes. It's,
Okay.
uh it's, I believe up for supporting actor for Kieran Culkin and then,
Well,
original screenplay by Jesse Eisenberg, who I actually also thought should have been nominated in the acting category because he
okay.
crushed this movie. But it's about a pair of estranged cousins who, their grandmother has just died, and she was a Holocaust survivor, and so they travel to Poland on this Holocaust tour to kind of remember her, reconnect, and um, visit the places that she lived. And I think they specifically go off the tour and visit her house one day. But yeah, it's about their journey reconnecting together and then also interacting with the rest of the tour group, also feeling some pretty obviously delicate subject matter. It does get a little bit dark in terms of Holocaust remembrance, and then it also has a darker personal element for the pair of lead characters, that I don't want to spoil by giving anything away.
Sure.
But both actors do a really great job with their characters, and I think it's easy to see why Kieran was nominated. And again, I think Jesse should have been too.
Okay.
It's a nice runtime. It's an hour and a half,
Hmm.
and the film has a good pace. So I really enjoyed it. I feel like I was watching a lot of longer movies. Nosferatu, Maria, and Amelia Perez, I think, are all topping 2 hours,
Okay.
inching towards 2.5 for some of them. So it was nice to have a more concise storyline.
Right. Yeah, I know that is nice when they can have something that's not quite so lengthy all the time.
Mhm.
I hadn't heard of that one. Tell me um what'd you think of Amelia Perez? Because when the nomination list came out, all I saw
Mhm.
all over the internet was, "What is this movie?" And look at what a joke this is. Like I have
What a
not heard of
joke it
it
is?
Yes, it was like, "This is looks
Okay.
really silly. No one watched this. Who cares about this movie?" And then they
Mm,
played I heard some clips that sort of go around. It's like, "This looks like a joke." So I'm really interested in, like, what you thought of it.
sure. I guess I didn't know that that was kind of the buzz around it. But yeah, I mostly enjoyed the movie. I think it was a tad long, um, and I will be slightly spoilery without, I think, giving terribly too much away. Um, it has musical numbers in it,
Right?
so I don't really know if like there's too many clips with that. I don't know what the
Yeah,
clips
see,
are.
that's what I thought it was a musical then, because that's what I saw was a clip of a
So
musical number.
it's yeah, so it's not a defined musical where it's you feel that there are, we have dialogue and now here is a song. It's more
Right.
interwoven. And there are pieces where I think that really works and it's a really cool thing to do. And then there are times I was like, oh, I don't know, I maybe wouldn't have done that there. Or something struck me as kind of like out of place. And I wasn't sure if that was intentional or if it just, was something that didn't work. But, you know,
Mhm.
movies included anyway. I thought the essential storyline was really interesting and compelling because I was thinking a lot about it made me think a lot about watching these movies, like the individual life and transformation, and what is it worth to live your life as an individual, and how we're kind of, sometimes looking to liberate ourselves from our current lives. And it felt like a through line in actually a lot of these movies.
Hmm.
Um, like where we can talk about like the way that, I kind of perceived the individual in Nosferatu later. Um, but there is quite a darker storyline again in A Real Pain. Um, and part of it is Jesse Eisenberg's character can't understand Kieran Culkin's character and the choices he's made because he's like, you're this, beautiful individual product of a thousand miracles, and our grandmother survived, the Holocaust, and you're like this. Why do you make these choices that you make? So there's a lot of emphasis on the way that people live their lives and how we understand each other and relate to each other,
Hmm.
and what is the kind of cost sometimes of being authentic to yourself. This movie, Emilia Perez, very openly discusses that as well. I don't I don't want to give too much away again, but there are several characters who go through different kinds of transformation but are parallel to each other, so they're on the nose and more metaphorical, so the film gives you a lot to think about that way. Um
Okay.
I think the performances were the strongest piece of this. I don't know that the storyline always was super strong and carried through the whole movie. There were definitely places where I had to put things together, and the through line wasn't the greatest. I
Okay.
don't think sometimes that was helped by the musical numbers. Um, but at times I think the musical numbers serve up some very raw and real emotions from the characters. So it's an interesting
Okay.
experiment. I haven't seen everything that's nominated for Best Picture, so I'm
Right.
not sure how I feel about it being in there, but I don't, by any stretch of the imagination, think this movie is a joke.
Okay. Well, it is. There are 10 nominations. Maybe we could have had nine. Or if we're
Yep.
trying to whittle down to five,
Yep.
we gotta make some cuts.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I haven't seen the majority. I haven't seen Enora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, I'm Still Here, Nickel
Yeah.
Boys, The Substance. Like it's a
Yep.
hefty list. Um,
I
and
would
I gotta
watch The
say,
Brutalist as well, I guess.
I
That's a
I would have
90
to
one.
like gear up for The Brutalist. It also sounds very long.
Yeah. Yep.
Not that it wouldn't be worth it, but it would have to be like a,
Mhm.
"Whew, okay, settle in."
Yep. Okay. Um, okay, yeah. I you know, are there any things that you really see as missing from some of these nominations?
Hmm,
Someone you feel like, because I can think of one, and that would be
okay.
Furiosa.
Yeah,
Furiosa's in nothing, no categories.
0 categories, yep.
Yep, so
There was quite a bit of talk, I feel like, this year that early movies got buzz and then fell flat before awards season.
yeah,
And Furiosa was included among that, and I think, another big one that people were shocked. I mean, people were surprised, critics, not, my friends down the street. Critics were
right.
surprised that Furiosa was completely shut out, as well as Challengers. That was another name I saw being thrown around a lot. Very different movie, but just also one that was.
Challengers.
Yes, it was, with Zendaya and 2
Oh,
actors that I forget the names of.
okay. Yep, yep,
But yeah, that was also released early in the year, got a lot of buzz, a lot of hype about it, and then just suddenly, like, faded.
mhm.
Um, so yeah.
We've yeah. I also noticed on this list, Alien Romulus was nominated for, like, effects.
Mhm,
It's like, I would've put Alien Romulus in here for something else yet too.
mhm.
Maybe, like,
Um,
cinematography.
a lot of other people also spoke of The Last Showgirl with Pamela Anderson and Jamie Lee Curtis as
Oh, okay,
some pretty big snubs, especially for Jamie Lee Curtis's performance.
okay.
Um, I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I don't know if I agree or not, but it made me curious to see it.
Hmm.
So, because I watched the Hulu series, like Pam and Tommy last
Mm-hmm.
year, and I found that
Okay.
particularly interesting with Lily James and Sebastian Stan, and I thought they both portrayed
The Academy exactly. Other award shows typically you have it's either an industry award show or
right,
it's a fan award show. Like you
right.
have like is BAFTA, or is that
Mhm.
you know, other people in the industry voting for that, I think.
Mhm.
But
I think
or
you're
like the
correct.
MTV Movie Awards, that's audience,
Right.
popular vote for the audience. So it's just Oscars is interesting. I feel like we need you know, a different version of Oscars and a board of people that are, I don't know, enough people can agree on the majority of them being well respected in the art, as opposed to like unknown Academy board members. Like, let's
Mm.
get Steven Spielberg, like some of the industry giants from the past, maybe a few newcomers or whatever. I'd like to see an award show that's like selected by them, people that live and breathe cinema. And it's just like,
Didn't they who makes up the Academy for the Academy Awards? The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences is made up of over 11 Lord,
yeah, what's
that's
the
a lot of people.
prerequisite? What's the prerequisite
It's
to join?
I don't know. That is a good question because that's I mean, if they all have to vote, like, that's a job tallying that up.
Yeah, that's
'Cause
probably
I mean,
electronic
I feel
then.
like it used to be like what you said, like, there was using that with the Hollywood Foreign Press,
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
Golden Globes, but I do feel like there was a smaller group, um, and then they kind of revamped that. Let's see, the
Well, we've got
Academy.
some
They have to
time
go through
to.
so in order to become members, they have to go through a selection process based on their professional experience and they're often previous Oscar nominees. They have to
Hmm,
be sponsored, reviewed, considered, and approved. Whew,
it's a lot of bureaucracy there.
interesting. Yes.
Hmm, yeah. I don't know.
There's a
Is it?
president and a CEO and 8 vice presidents and 3 8 yeah. I'm not really sure why the vice presidents, because I feel like, like a head and a CEO, and then, you know, acting behind the scenes, like producing, directing,
Sure.
and then production. I have to give a whole breakdown of the academy, but yeah,
Interesting.
just
Yeah.
just a little brief nugget for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's not too bad. It got a bar for entry, anyways, and that's definitely more people voting than I would have thought. So,
I completely agree.
well, we have till March
Mhm.
to watch any movies we feel like watching from this list.
Mhm.
Um, so if you think of more you want to watch, or you all of a sudden watch one, let me know.
For sure.
And yeah,
Like I let you know
sure.
that I watched Nosferatu, which got a surprising 4 nominations. There were a lot of
Yeah,
publications that included the kind of, "Oh, shock,
yeah,
Nosferatu has a bit more than we expected."
yeah. Well, so let's see. What are the categories here? I know one was costumes. Um,
Cinematography, costumes, makeup, hair, and production design.
okay. I feel like those are fair,
Mhm.
right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm pulling for Wicked in the production design because I think the sets were amazing, but I could see how Nosferatu got nominated for sure.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm always gonna have my soft spot for Dune because
Mm, yeah,
there's everything right about it. It's nothing wrong. I can see that one getting a cinematography to Greg Fraser again.
sure,
E- But I wonder if he won last time for Doom Part One, and if he did, I feel like they'll give it to someone else.
sure.
So
I feel like he did, but
yeah,
because I don't remember the
I I feel like
competition,
he did too. Yep.
but who knows?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. Okay, well, we should talk about if you got anything else to mention here,
Mm-mm.
certainly do so. But I do wanted to briefly touch on Quentin Tarantino's thoughts before we jump into Nosferatu.
Sure, yeah.
Um, just because they came across my desk and I thought some were interesting. So some stuff that he mentioned recently, he was kind of criticizing what constitutes movie. Talking about a short theatrical release window followed by immediate availability on streaming platforms. He said, "What the f is a movie now? Something that plays in a theater for a token release for 4 effing weeks, and by the second week you can watch it on television. I didn't get into all this for diminishing returns."
Mhm.
Um, let's see. The end of the traditional moviegoer in 2019, he stated that was the last year of movies, suggesting the movie experience has fundamentally changed with the dominance of streaming. Um, Underscoring the belief that the essence of what made movies special in theaters being lost to convenience and immediacy on digital platforms. Critique of modern cinema. It's been talking about see modern films being overly influenced by political correctness or for lacking originality. Comparing today's cinema to past eras, he considers less vibrant, like the 1980s. He feels that films conform to a set of unspoken rules reducing creativity and cinematic innovation. Um, and then he criticized recently Spielberg's um, see Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade as being boring, while praising A Temple of Doom for its excitement. So yeah, those are kind of breakdown of some of his statements
Not ex
recently.
not exactly recent films he's picking to pull apart,
Yeah, well, that last one, I don't know where that came from, but he must have just brought it up as I don't know. That's a weird one. He should go after
right?
the latest Indiana Jones movie, but I'm
Right?
guessing you didn't see it. I'm guessing you didn't see it.
Well, and I mean, yeah, it's just it sort of undercuts his argument of like, I'm so angry with the state of movies right now. Let me pull an example from, films that are decidedly not now, not
Hmm.
recent. You know what I mean? Like it's an odd example to pick.
Maybe they were very separate statements. Maybe it was
Sure, yeah.
you know,
I find that very odd.
yeah.
Um, yeah. I get his frustration in essence, especially about, he's like, I've made the movie for this experience and I'm frustrated that, it's only be given a very short time to do well in the theater before being shuffled to streaming, which is not the experience I made the movie for. Um, and I thought about that because having gone to Alamo and just seen Nosferatu, I was, a little bit shifty for a couple of parts because I couldn't just pause something and like move or go get a snack or
Mhm.
um but then once I really settled in, I found myself really enjoying it. I was excited during the previews. I was excited to like settle into my chair, order my stuff, like, have my refreshments. And, as we were kind of getting into it, I was excited. And then yeah, about half an hour in, I got antsy and then, you know, got right back into it and was thinking, yeah, I have missed this. I've missed the experience of going to the theater and sitting down and this being the thing I am supposed to do. I don't have to, you know, think about like, oh, I should pause this and while I'm up getting my drink of water, I should like throw in a load of laundry or, I should do X or whatever. I can just sit here and enjoy my movie and that is the purpose of these hours. Um so yeah, to anybody out there, the movie experience, it might feel weird, but go do it because it's really kind of a treat for yourself. As a
Yeah.
parent, I find it hard to get
Mhm.
away, and I've wanted to get back to the theater, and I'm trying to figure that out. But I don't know. I'm excited to get back.
Right. Yeah. I mean, growing up, I never thought about the theater as being a critical element of a
Hmm.
movie. Like,
Of
to me,
movies.
the movie was the movie and it wasn't about how it was experienced exactly. Now, I would want to experience it, what I would consider uh, in high quality, but
Hmm.
that varies throughout the years. It varies on the theater, if it's versus VHS on a small tube TV and that VHS is wearing out versus, DVD or a 75-inch television in 4K with a stereo. Like
Hmm.
it's there's a lot of variance, and I just wonder like how much of it is because a live play, is obviously vastly superior if you go and watch it live.
Hmm.
If you watch a recording of said play, it is literally not even close to the same. It's like I
It's the
remember,
energy.
yeah, just I remember just drumline or whatever. Like you'd watch drumline, it just like feeling the drums in your chest, everything. That's cool. Like it's exciting. You watch a recording of it, boring, boring. Who cares? So I guess in
Chris
those
somewhere hears you,
situations,
and he's
yes, I
very
know.
upset.
That's where I saw him. It's like I saw that, and then for some reason I was watching a recording, and like people would watch it to see like, oh yeah, they did a good job, but I'm not gonna
Right.
enjoy this because it's like this
Right.
teeny recording. It's like just not the same. So um, I don't know. I've never put movies in the same kind of category. So I wonder if
Mhm.
like is do we have directors that are just like, of course, this is their passion, this is their thing, this is the art that they partake in, and so we want you to go to the theater? Or is it also that's where we would potentially make our money, and we don't see that
Mhm.
going to be happening anymore?
Mhm.
Or is there a truth to like that's something beyond like snobbery, that yeah, you should experience these things in a public setting in an eventized manner?
Sure. I think there's some part of that, the magic of being in the audience together that, looking to recapture. I definitely remember movie theaters being like the place, like, you go for like your teenage dates or whatever, or, group of
Yeah.
friends going to a midnight showing of the thing that you were so excited to see. And there was definitely a vibe. Um, you know, certain parts in movies, people would like collectively react together in the theater. And it was really, a communal experience and it was really fun. You felt connected to each other. And I think that there's probably some nostalgia and yearning for that level there in these comments. And I also think there's a simple, attention deficit where in like I said, in the theater, you're forced to sit down. This is the thing you are doing right now. You're not doing the other things. You're not watching this movie in, 10, 20, even an hour chunks because life intrudes on the streaming platform and you can pause and you can break away and you can come back. Um, so I think that, yeah, there's probably some of that in there too. This is the art I have made. Please sit down and be immersed in my world. Don't
Yeah.
just, take a break.
I mean, did we hear about these kind of complaints when music became portable? I mean, I know when music went to like everybody was ripping MP3s
Yeah.
and listening in little earbuds, a lot of
Yeah.
musicians were like, "This is ridiculous. This is
Yeah.
horrible quality." All this, but it was before you might sit in your study, put on a record, and listen to said record,
Mhm.
or maybe you would like put on your headphones and when your record's going and you look at this record sleeve for a while, whatever, and you sit and listen to the thing. But
Mhm.
then it became like a multitasking element. Became like, well,
Yeah.
now this music is background, or I play
Yes.
this song and that song and this song from wherever. There's no,
Yes.
and part of that's an industry problem that you make a song that's really like marketable and will sell, and then the rest of the album is kind of just filler garbage. So people just take a song and they want to mix
Mhm.
and match
Right.
you know uh, and some of it is, yeah, we, when given the opportunity to not focus, we don't.
Yeah.
We diversify our activities, like immensely, at a whim. And so is music ruined because we don't experience music in the same way,
I
um
think yeah, I think there were a collection of artists who agreed that, platforms like iTunes were destroying the music industry because they didn't need to make an album anymore, or people didn't pay attention because they weren't buying CDs, they weren't buying albums, they weren't buying, here's my 12 songs. They were, selecting my two singles. So what was the point? Like I made this, beautifully crafted albums, you're supposed to listen to it in a specific order. It tells a story. It,
yeah.
has these beats and breaks and um yeah, I definitely remember echoes, of an outcry from artists. I don't know how big it was. I don't know who all was involved, but I definitely recall opposition
Hmm.
because they want you to listen to the full album. I made it this way for
Hmm.
a purpose.
It's always chicken and egg, right? Like, who's, did you get music that's, you write a few marketable songs that go to radio. The record companies pay radio stations to play these songs over and over and over ad nauseum. Not what a DJ is going to do. And so
Mhm.
then you see that's where the market is. So that you start writing music that is worse. You have worse albums. So now you pay also these services come online where you can just
Right.
buy a song a la carte.
Right.
Or is it, like, I just think they're complicated. It's not one thing ever that's destroying it all or changing it all.
Sure.
I think the same
I
thing
think
is for the
it's
case with the movies.
reductionist. Like it's easy
Yeah,
to find something that you're like, well, this thing.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yes, you're right. It's usually a confluence of factors, but people pick
I do
something.
think the reality is like, being scrawled upon the wall. It's appearing
Mhm.
in blood, as Tom Riddle would have it marked, or whatever. The movies are not what they once were. They're not. It's no longer the preferred method of entertainment, the
Mhm.
preferred mode or whatever. And it's just like plays in a theater. They're not gone, but it's nowhere near what
Mhm.
turn of the 20th century, 19th to
Mhm.
20th, would have been for a market for plays.
Right.
It's not the same kind of thing, and I think we'll have that. We have that with movies now, so we need realignment of expectations. But at the same time, like, you know, who's at fault? I think video games. I think split, not being able to focus. I think fear of going outside or social interactions. I think
Mhm.
loss of quality of movies, and just like a lot of options. So I mean, when you can have someone that's like getting a dopamine hit constantly by going through YouTube shorts all day, are they going to, oh yeah, I'm going to leave the house and pay $22
Mhm.
to sit and see
Right.
this, you know, this movie that I may or may not like, and I can't pause it or
Mhm.
change it or whatever. I think that for us, like you said, you missed it, and go out there and get back and do it. There's a whole generation now that they're not missing it because they never did it.
Mhm.
This was not how their family went out to do things. They didn't grow up, they grew up, oh, it's easier to turn on Bluey on Disney Plus than it is to take the family out and go to the thing.
Okay,
And
shout out to Bluey though. Quality programming.
I know, I just say like, yeah,
I know.
it's just
I take your point. I do. I just couldn't
mhm.
help it. Um,
I I like that Quentin Tarantino is always opinionated, and he's not afraid to share his
yeah.
opinions. I've heard many of them, so I mean, I disagree with plenty and agree with plenty. I just think it's interesting. We do need more people in industry sharing their thoughts freely about the
Mhm.
state of the industry and where it's going.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's taking a pretty pessimistic view without offering solutions, which is, I get our impulses to rant sometimes, and that's perfectly understandable why he's feeling frustrated, I think. But also, like, think about how to fix it then. Think about what you want to do then. What do you want to do about
Mhm.
it?
Yeah.
Do you want to, like, renegotiate, push for renegotiating streaming contracts? Like, do you want to, gather people together and, like, demand different terms? Like, great, do it. Because yeah, I would
Mhm.
love to see longer runs in movie theaters. I'd love to think of new ways to get people to go to the movie theater. Heck, if you
Yeah.
can entice parents, like I said, it's, you know, a lovely thing to sit down and just have something that's entertainment be the thing you're doing and not have your responsibilities, because I think there is this constant ideology that we should be doing something. I should be busy. I should be productive. I should be, I have responsibilities here, housework, cooking, whatever, childcare. There's a lot of stuff that demands your attention and your time, and it's a luxury and a treat to go to the movie theater.
Mhm. Yeah, I'd like to see someone like Quentin Tarantino or others, just more people putting together their own production companies,
Hmm.
funding independent projects or whatever things that they do think are interesting.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to be beholden to the structure that's in place.
Hmm.
A lot of them just choose to because it works out for them. Like they've spent years working their way up, kissing the right ass, whatever it takes, and so
Yeah.
now they're part of a system that just functions for them.
Right.
And but you can step outside that anytime you want. And
Right. It's obviously riskier, but it could be more rewarding because
mhm,
you're the one calling the shots then, truly.
yep,
If you're the financing as well,
yep,
it's yours.
yep. And so we have more. I think we have more people doing that. But at this point with movies, just because you make a quality movie doesn't mean people are going to go see it. Like
It's true.
we're beyond that point now where yeah, people are just looking for quality movies. I think if we'd gone 5 years ago and that was the thing, maybe that'd be the case. 5, 10 years ago, where all of a sudden just quality movies, people are still looking to go. I think now we're in the TikTok, YouTube, video game era, and it's gonna. You just better realign expectations and reduce budgets. So
Mhm. Or make shorter films,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Challenge yourself. 90 minutes. 90
right?
minute studios. That's what you're going to call it. 90-minute studios. Not a single film will go over 90 minutes, not counting credits.
I love it. I love it because honestly, after seeing longer movies, A Real Pain flew by in a great way. So,
Yeah.
challenge.
So
Yeah, do it.
see like the director of Brutalist or whatever now said, like, I can't believe people complain about a 3.5 hour movie or something when they'll sit and watch however thing long on TV. And I do
Because you
understand that.
pause. Because you can
Yes,
pause.
you're
That
at
is the point.
home, you can pause at your leisure. People, and they would hate
You can
this, but people will
scroll.
watch half an episode and then watch the half later in the day or whatever,
Yes. Or you can scroll on your
It's
phone during, like, a part you don't love or go get something to eat and, like, not
Mhm.
pause if it's, like, your background TV.
Yeah, and see, if you don't want people to do that sort of thing, you want to demand them to pay attention, you're better off to keep that thing short.
Mhm.
If you have a 3.5 hour thing, there's a better chance someone does pick up their phone to do something
Yep.
else versus if
Yep.
it's, yeah, 90. Okay. All right. Well, yes, not 90 minutes for sure is the Nosferatu. Um, that one we snuck out to see opening. Well, I don't know if it was the week after opening or something like that. I don't recall
Sure.
for sure now, but um, yeah, I was very excited for this one. One of my more excited movies this year. What like my list was kind of short, but it was Dune, Furiosa, Alien, and this Nosferatu, and
Sure.
so it was fun to get to actually go see it. Um, what is your familiarity with Nosferatu and
Sure.
the original and its source material and all that sort of thing?
Sure, yeah. So I've obviously read Bram Stoker's Dracula. I actually wrote several papers at several different times in my collegiate and postgraduate career on the novel. And then cinematically, uh, have seen the OG Nosferatu and then several different iterations of Dracula as
Okay.
well. And now, of course, this movie.
Yeah. You know, one thing I was thinking watching this is I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was a little bit that was going through. I was like, oh yeah, this is what happens next. Oh yeah, this is kind of what happens next. It kind
Sure,
of
yeah.
like it kind of like is the story. I mean, there's differences, but it's this is what happens, and
Right.
I did appreciate that because if someone's going to try to tell a definitive version, that's always the
Mhm.
thing. Are you going to try to tell the definitive version of the tale, or are you going to try to have your own spin on it?
Right, right.
And I feel this leaned towards trying to tell the definitive version of the tale.
Mhm. Yes.
Was it? Was it the
Yeah,
definitive
like,
version, Andrea?
um, I mean, I don't know about that. It, it obviously differs, um, in setting and character, even if the essence of everything is the same.
Hmm.
So that I remember that being one of the things about the original Nosferatu. It seemed more different than this did. So this felt very like, you know, OG Dracula, except I don't know, like odd that it was different. Whereas Nosferatu, the original 1922, felt a little bit more different. So it was kind of irritating to me, this one, that it wasn't more different. Just like change some names at a place and
Okay.
ta-da, we have Nosferatu. It's a good story because Dracula's a good story.
Right.
And it's a good story because the performances, I think, on the whole, were very strong. Um, I see why it's nominated for uh, costuming and makeup. That was also very strong, especially Count Orlok. I think that is some of the star of this film. His just creepiness and
Yeah.
his body, his movement as the monster, I think is spectacular. But yeah, it was a little jarring to just be just different enough from a story, and like, why not just be Dracula then?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because I kept comparing it because it's my yearly go-to,
Yep.
comparing
Yep.
it to
Yep. Bram
Coppola's
Stoker's.
Dracula.
Yep,
Yeah,
Bram Stoker's Dracula. Yep, absolutely. That's
and
what it did for me too.
and so
We are who we
I
are.
I enjoyed that to some extent because um, it's like crazy guy, the servant of Nosferatu. I thought he was great in this.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Very messed up, very convincing.
So
Uh
committed. Oh, biting that
yes.
pigeon head. Woo! Ooh.
Yes. So I welcomed comparisons like that. Um Obviously with the like cinematography and stuff,
Mhm.
but then I guess the big thing is Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman, like what take do you want? Cuz Coppola's is a romantic goes crazy old guy enchanting to the form
I
of a beast, yes,
Yeah.
and so it's got all sort of it's very, very sexual in nature. This movie has that, but it's more like about the terror and the forcing and the beast. You think
Interesting.
no?
Yes and no. Yes and no. So where I agree with you, this film is definitely more about like terror, horror, jump scares, more classic elements in that nature. Quality here. Um,
Okay.
and I think it's more on the nose for Victorian ideas about sexuality than it is. I think Coppola, you're correct. It's very romantic.
Yeah.
It's very like sensual. It's very about seduction. You know, like you said, Gary Oldman turns from this gross old guy, but also kind of clean still, just
Yeah.
old and weird. And
Yeah.
then he turns you very young and hot. And even when he's a beast, we only see his beast form like twice momentarily, but it's after he's been kind of coming on to these women as his beautiful self.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so it doesn't lean so much into horror that way. It's very romantic. It's very harsh, stark, very in line with Count Orlok's body, which is white, hard,
Mhm.
in not like a sexy way. And just he's very angular, bony,
Yeah.
skeletal, and he's gross. He
Yeah.
starts off gross and he gets a little bit less gross, but not really. He's
Yeah.
definitely still a corpse.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so the sexuality here I think is just the idea that a woman has it and can be seduced is very ugly. It's very shameful. It's very in Victorian ideals. We have to keep this sort of thing hidden away. It's not okay for a woman to be exploring these thoughts. And it's very apparent in Ellen's dialogue. She's always horrified to be telling people that I was attracted to this thing, this being, my sexuality is now let this demon out and it's terrorizing other people. It's causing solution often is to tie her down and lock her up, corset her up, gag her, make her unconscious. It's it's all about repression. So this
Mhm.
film feels very accurate to the time frame to me. Um so yeah, so I think both films are pretty sexual. It's just the way they portray it is very different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want to, one is understand like you see it in this film, and it's like, okay, clearly it's a power and a curse, like the
Yeah,
attraction and some of that. Whereas in
it's
Dracula,
dominance.
you can conceivably see it as like, oh, well, this is a welcome thing. And, it's like Keanu Reeves being like, uh, felt up by the ladies of, Dracula's ladies there.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing gross about that scene. But when we have Nicholas Holt in this, in Orlok's castle, he's getting like sucked on like a leech by,
Yeah.
it's like by a convulsing body. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
So it's, I think it adds to the horror and the grotesquerie that
Mhm.
and again adds the mystical nature of the power
Mhm.
here that no sane person would be attracted to this or would be
Mhm.
enjoying this or whatever, um as sort of, I guess, to me, if you want to have an effective metaphor of like, hey, don't be horny, women, stop being horny, you look at the destruction you'll cause. Like, I think
This movie does
Dracula,
that better.
well, see, I think Dracula does that better because it's a more realistic situation of like being swept away or something like that. Whereas this is requires, hey, someone, you know, was very lonely and
Mhm.
just like asked the universe for a friend
Yeah.
and unwittingly made a deal with a devil then. Uh
Yeah. I mean, I think this movie makes it very understandable why this happened, and gives you that sympathy. But I mean, if you're looking for, you know, your sexuality should be repressed and hidden because like you said, look at the destruction you'll cause. I think actually one of my papers was on Dracula was titled like "The Monster in the Closet: Victorian Women's Sexuality." Um, so it's very much about like repression because it's this deep dark thing that needs to be hidden away. But Coppola's Dracula, not a lot of like real lasting consequences. Her
to
friend Lucy,
society at large.
is
Yes.
society at large for a bit, and then
Yeah.
her friend Lucy, and then really not much else.
Right.
I mean,
It's a
obviously,
personal thing.
yeah, so, like, everybody comes out of it and they're all kind of okay. And even, in Coppola's film, Mina is very, like, interested in sexuality and comes on to Jonathan and sort of gets a little bit rebuffed and, he's a little like, "Ooh," but, eventually he's like, "Alright, this is cool." Whereas here, you know, Ellen is coming on very strongly and like she's sort of half possessed and weird, just coming on to her husband, and then she's completely brutalized in their encounter. There's no intimacy, and she apparently likes that, but it's again, it's a reward for your sexuality is violence, and it's
Mm.
not like a loving thing between a husband and wife. Even that can't be, okay.
I'm not sure which part you're talking about because it's like,
Towards the
we're
end
talking
where
when she's confessing that the
yeah,
way that yeah, see, that's
and then she's
difficult
like
because
half
it's,
possessed. It's
yeah,
so weird.
that's the thing. It's like, what would you do as any sane man in that situation? Like, you'd be, I don't know how you respond to that. That's a tough,
Probably not
like,
by half assaulting your wife.
well, I don't remember the assault part. I don't remember that. Like, I remember
She's
that.
taunting him about how, he can't satisfy her and this demon is like
Right.
so great at doing that, and then he's
Yes.
like, "Bah,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I'll show you."
yeah.
He kind of gets in like a weird sexual competition with a corpse over
Yeah.
his wife's satisfaction. It's very
It
odd
it's a
to me.
yes, well,
But
it's a
yeah, and
very,
then
yeah.
oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, then in terms of destruction, you have a lot more casualties in this movie, which we can get into.
Yeah,
So,
definitely, I saw some meme go around or something that's like, "Ah, you won't have sex with me, therefore I will give the whole town the plague." Like,
yep.
it's,
And I'll come to
wow,
kill your friends personally.
yeah,
Getcha.
yeah. Um, I so yeah, it was a lot of destruction. Um, I thought they did a good job of bringing that and that sort of terror in. I sympathize.
Mhm.
He was I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson, the once future James Bond, was like did
Yeah.
a really good job of being
Mhm.
that cynic, trying to hold things together. Like, my
Blustering.
patience is at at the end here, and it's like it's one of those things like yes, of course you'd be like, this as an audience member is real and happening, and there's so you should be more you be that way because
Mhm.
it's nonsensical, it's supernatural, it's crazy or whatever. So I thought he was a really
Mhm.
interesting character in
Mhm.
like watching his progression and downfall and everything. Um, so I thought
Yeah.
I think that where this movie succeeded more than like Coppola's is giving us a number of characters that are interesting and well thought out and have something cool about them. They have
Mhm.
a cool story to tell. Whereas
Mhm.
like when you look at Coppola's, you know, it's about Dracula. It's really about Dracula and yes, Mina and everybody else. I don't know. They take a backseat. Even Keanu Reeves. I mean, he's there for a bunch of it, but
Yeah.
I just remember his bad
We all do. We
accent.
all do.
You know, and even like um shoot, what's his name? Of course, legendary actor in Dracula, uh, Van Helsing.
Oh, oh,
Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Even he, I always thought like was odd, like it didn't fulfill what I want to see Anthony Hopkins doing, exactly.
Mm.
And I thought Willem Dafoe for that eccentric kind of character here was more fun. So
Hmm. Okay. I have slightly different opinion on that character. I think that Anthony Hopkins was the more natural actor in this like professor role, but I think you are correct in that in this movie, Willem Dafoe's character has the more interesting and actually detailed backstory. Like Dr. Severs, who's going to like
yeah,
consult him, he's like, here's what I know, here's how we met, here's why I got kicked out. Like he's happens to be here for X, and I already called him. There's a little bit more like meat to it, whereas like Professor Van Helsing, I think, just like shows up in Dracula and is our
right,
savior, and he just knows so much. And it's interesting here that Willem Dafoe doesn't know
yeah,
exactly. He just knows like, hey, it's supernatural. This is crazy.
mhm,
Um, I got to figure it out, and he knows where to look to, detective his way to the solution, but he doesn't know everything.
yeah,
Um, so he's more complex that way. Like I said, though, I think Anthony Hopkins was more natural in this. I was sort of aware that Willem Dafoe was delivering lines a lot of the
mm,
time. There was a very
interesting.
like,
Okay,
well, old boy, we're off to here, and I think Aaron Taylor Johnson fell into that a little bit too, a couple of
hmm,
times. It was not as noticeable for me. I think he did, like you said, a great job early on as this very like self-satisfied man of business doing his friend a favor and opening his home, and then he really got into like the grittiness of what the hell is happening in my house. I love my wife. I just want to be left alone. Oh my God, my wife is dead. I am in despair. Oof, solid performance. But there were a couple of lines early on that he was very like, hey, old chap. And yeah, that's unfortunately what I felt like from Willem Dafoe at times. I just felt like I shall now exit the room because that is my direction and that is where I shall go. And I had a hard
yeah,
time
I
just
see what
kind
you're
of
saying.
I had a hard time sinking into his character sometimes because it jolted me a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. I thought Nicholas Holt did exceptional.
Yeah,
He
he did some
was
good physical work.
properly terrified when he needed to be. That was
Yes.
great. Um, I thought that the doctor that got Willem Dafoe, I thought
Severs,
he
yeah,
did a
Dr.
good job.
Severs, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, he was always good.
He's a very
Um,
steadying, calm presence. Everybody else, had all of their directions to, like, fly off the handle, and he was very
mhm,
like, "I don't know what's going on, but I will soldier on, and I will do the thing. Everybody calm down. We'll figure it out."
yeah, yep. What do you think of our lead, Lily Rose Depp?
Yeah. I, on the whole, was pretty impressed with her performance. Um, I thought she did great for like the horror nature of this. Her body, facial contortions, the way that she moved. Um, I think some of it was effects and some of it was just really her doing all of those things. And I thought she did a great job. I thought, when she was doing the majority of her anxious wife, looking after, Nicholas Holt, then confessing to him, I thought all good things. There were a couple of occasions where she would like speak of her visions and it got a little too distant, a little too I'm
Mm,
gazing and premising something bad that felt a little like I'm not really
forced.
connected with you right now. Yeah. But yeah, solid performance. I think nothing that would make me say, "Oh god, the Academy missed out on nominating her," but really good job.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I loved the look of the film. Like,
Mhm.
I was telling people it wouldn't take much for me to enjoy this movie. Like, if the music is good
Mhm.
and it looks gorgeous, because
Like
it's
here
just
in this
yeah.
scene where she
Hmm.
oof, yeah, loved all that.
It's just the like era and architecture and stuff and all that. It's very appealing. So
Mhm.
that's all good. Um, the There was a few really cool shots, yeah, leading up to the castle and stuff like that. On the
Gorgeous.
pathway where
Mhm.
this like crazy stuff going on with the horse cart and the carriage, and just like in the middle or whatever. There's just some good shots there.
Mhm.
Some stuff in the like doorway of some framing in the castle. So some moments like that. As the movie went on, I guess as it sped up, maybe I noticed maybe fewer of those things. But like if you're watching, this is another good shot.
Mhm.
Um, let's see. So yeah, I just really liked the way the film looked. Um, that was all achieved high standards there.
Mhm.
Let's see.
Yeah, I
Are
loved the kind of juxtaposition, here, I think, and in the shot before, it's really obvious. There's a lot of darkness, and if there is light, especially when they're doing something surrounding the count, it's very like white and bleak. It's very
mm,
like washed out. And the only time you really even, in a lot of the outdoor scenes, everything is pretty bleak looking and gray or, white and harsh. And the only time you really get this like warming yellow light is inside the Harding home. It's
yep,
like the center of warmth and so I think there's some very deliberate choices there that work really well to
yep,
underscore the messaging.
yep. Um, see what else. We really didn't talk about Orlock too much himself. I was interested, like to me, the voice was interesting. Like they really didn't let you see him much for a long time,
Mhm.
which is fine. Um,
Mhm.
but the voice was, I don't know if it was my favorite choice. I mean, it was scary and
Yeah.
stuff, but a little hard to understand and a little like extra drawn out, and I don't
Mhm.
just don't know if that.
Extra loud.
Yeah. Hmm.
This movie really played a lot with sound, for sure. There was lots of, like, rising, swell him and his kind of big reveal. Um, I said this in here, but, like, so much of, like, getting to the castle was, like, movie ASMR, like, the
Mm,
horse carriage and, like, getting up to the castle and entering and closing
yeah.
doors, his voice, like, it was just, like, very intense sounds. Um, so, yeah, I mean, his voice too, in the beginning especially, was very, very loud, low, growly, drawn out, imposing, I think was the idea.
Did you like it?
Um, I mean, it was fine. I don't know that, like, I thought it added terribly much to his character. I thought that Bill Skarsgård did a good job making his lines sound as natural as he could.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite part of Orlok is his physicality and his hands. He did hand
Yeah.
acting. Lots of twisty, creepy, grabbing, clutching twists. I loved it. That was the best part for me, aside from I think the grossness of his body, you know, which lent itself to the horror genre very well. But yeah,
Yeah.
hand acting for sure made it.
Yep. Um. Okay. What else we have we not
What
said
did
on
you
this? I
yeah, what did you think of the end? That's kind of like the biggest difference I think between Nosferatu and Dracula is we have a much bleaker ending in Nosferatu. The
well,
idea is, that the maiden sacrifices herself to the beast to keep him with her until the rising dawn can finish him off.
yeah.
And, in Dracula, we have something that kind of works out. Like, the men go on their hunt, but it's all for naught because it's Mina who has to, be the one.
Yeah, I think if the maybe the movie, if it's attempting to eschew the like ideas of the repressed sexuality, because this kind of like, what does that say then exactly? If that's,
Mhm.
so maybe it's looking at it a different way, because it's I think it's I like the idea that it's reasonable that you have this curse, you made this deal with the devil, and there's not a way out of it. There's
Mhm.
not a way out of it. Like, you made the deal. That's it. Like, there's not a it's not a fairy tale thing where there's some certain thing we can say in Latin from an old book and it will, destroy the demon and send him back to the pits of hell or whatever. And so, and you're what has to undo it. What I didn't understand as much, I guess, or is like the why he would wait there, like he wouldn't be aware that, like, hey, the son, was he never aware that the son was going to could kill him?
Right.
Or was he willing to sacrifice himself yeah, I don't think so. Like, so it's like, I get it if you every night you cover yourself up and you go back to the earth where you came, or every morning, I guess, and but that was the only thing I loved
Mhm.
the idea of the self-sacrifice. I loved the shot. It was a great
Yeah.
shot. I just didn't understand the would he sit there and wait? Would he actively do that and like forget
Mhm.
that the sun is coming?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a plausible idea. I think the movie just didn't really lend itself to showing that believably because he is half aware, he starts to pull away, and she's like, "No, stay with me." And I get the temptation to be like, "All right, I'll," 'cause he really does seem to have an obsession, call it love or any
Right.
other form of attachment. But I get that impulse, but then you're right, when the sun comes up, he kind of very casually is like, "Oh no." See more. Oh shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that did seem a bit underplayed, underwhelming the moment that, you know, he
Or
realizes he's doomed. It's very casual.
or is this the happy ending to his love story?
Maybe for him. Yeah.
Because it's like but to me, if it was gonna go that route, I need played up how he wants to die. Like,
Right.
he
Right.
really he's he's been here for too many eons. He's
Right.
he just
Despairing.
he can't die, and he's not about to kill himself. So if
Right.
he could die happy somehow, like,
Right. This is the way.
yeah, like with my one true love,
For
which I
me.
guess is, yeah, right, for me, because wouldn't you want to be convinced that that person loves you too and just didn't make a binding contract as a child? I don't know.
Well, yeah, the movie doesn't really make that very clear. I mean, like I was a bit more sympathetic, I think, that she was really struggling to free herself from this contract she unwittingly entered as a child. Obviously this movie is concerned a bit, I think, with consent as well. It's kind of an unspoken like consideration of, what age can you really say like, hey, I'm bound to this
Oh
demon
yeah,
or, whatever. But, you know, like you say, there's not really a moment where it seems she's really that convincing for him.
right.
She gives herself over, but it's really like, you killed my friends. I just don't want you to
Yeah,
kill my husband.
yeah,
It doesn't seem
right.
very genuine, and yet he buys
Yep.
it. I felt that the ending was, for all its visual splendor, plot wise, pretty tepid.
You sure? Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to listen to a director commentary or something on it because it's really the one thing that I had issue with, it like meaningfully had issue with in the film was
Hmm.
just like him choosing to die at the end.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
she does well selling resigned. She does not, and she does not do well, I think, being very convincing that this is what she wants, if that's
Well,
what he's looking for.
and was she supposed to?
Well, I
Like,
think,
'cause I mean,
to
like,
convince him to stay, to if you're saying like he's looking for his soul here.
yeah, and that I to me that wasn't part of the deal. It was
Sure.
like, hey, swear yourself to me, and or everybody dies.
Yeah,
So
maybe he's just satisfied to die knowing like the contract is fulfilled, and that's, his idea of satisfaction, like, you know.
yep, yep,
I don't know, but yeah, it's all a little bit muddled and, like I said, pretty tepid.
yep.
Though
Well,
you wouldn't know it from this picture. I do love this Willem Dafoe's mad burning of
yeah.
the sacred earth and the coffin. That's pretty great.
Mhm. Well, Alan says our audio's dropping quite a lot, so that's
Okay.
unfortunate. But we are wrapping, so we'll see. Hopefully, everybody gets us enough. If not, we'll have to come back and summarize what what we said or something, and re-record it or whatever.
Right, dub the ending here.
Yeah, yeah. We'll try to play the video and rematch our mouths to everything we said. Perfect.
Boy. Oh boy.
It's gonna go great. Yeah.
It's gonna go great. I love the confidence.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Well, did you kind of get to say everything you wanted to about
I think so. I think
Nosferatu?
I've said what needs to be said.
Okay. All right. Well, that's Nosferatu, Robert Eggers' 2024 version. This one has sound. Wow. Um, yeah, the next gen tech. But hope you enjoyed our discussion. Hopefully, you could hear it and our audio wasn't too bad. I apologize if it
Mhm.
was. Make sure you like, share, subscribe in all the places. We'll be talking soon about Goldfinger, the novel, comparing it to the movie.
Mhm.
Last year was the Goldfinger anniversary, just a mere, couple months ago. So we'll be getting into that. And then we'll be back with the Ohio Anime show as well. Probably have time to go on to more solo leveling for that. So yeah,
Mhm.
make sure, yeah, shout us out, follow us on podcast directories, subscribe there, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you like. And yeah, we appreciate it. Killing the Flower wrote our theme song. Make sure you check them out on music streaming services um, like Spotify or YouTube. And that'll do it from us. Andrea, thanks once again for joining me.
Cheers, everybody.